We're starting chapter 3, and today's lecture is about graphing and writing inequalities. This is section 3, section 1 in chapter 3. And our essential question, how do you graph and write an inequality in one variable? And hopefully we'll be able to solve that as we go along. Well, let's first take a look about one variable. And in order to graph one variable inequalities, we're going to use a number line. So when you have to use number lines when you're going to be working in your homework, all you do is draw a line and put a 0 on it. And then if you need a positive 2, put a positive 2 on there. If you need a negative 3, just put a negative 3. Only put the numbers you need on there, okay? But you're always going to have a 0 no matter what. That's going to kind of mark the difference between sides. You don't have to put a bunch of little lines in between. I don't need to see that you're counting all the way over there. I don't need to see that. Also, because sometimes the numbers are like 10, and you're going to put a bunch of little numbers to get out. It's just not worth it. So it's just easier if you just show me what it is that you need. You always have a 0. Don't leave off the 0. Okay? All right, well, let's take a look at the signs that you have written down on your paper there. We have this thing on the top there. That is the less than sign. Okay, pointing towards the left, that's the less than sign. And that means the one pointing to the right is the greater than sign. When we use these, okay, we use an open circle when we graph on the number line. When we use the less than and greater than, we use an open circle to graph on the number line. Some of you might remember this from last year when you were doing this, because this is, again, 7th grade review. That's how we always start the chapter. The one underneath it would be then less than or equal to, and I'd like to add my own words to this as well, some other ones that might become familiar to you. No more than would refer to the less than and equal sign, and at most would also be the less than or equal to sign. That means if that's what this one is, the other one has to be the greater than or equal to sign. And just like I said, no more than and at most, this has a couple of phrases as well. No less than and at least. And remember, when you say something at least, that means you want more than that. So that's where this greater than. Sometimes people get confused when they see more and less. They think it's the other way around because the less is over here. But you've really got to understand the English of this. And if this is a closed circle, then when you're going to use these two signs, you're going to use a closed circle on your number line. So it's real important to know what you're going to use on your number line and what all these signs mean. So let's do a few examples so that we can kind of take a look at the different kinds of problems you might be doing tonight for homework. So here we are, example number 1. I'd like everyone to write x plus 3 is less than 5. And what we're going to do is we are going to take some numbers and replace and evaluate. So let's put the number 0 in. So 0 plus 3 is less than 5. Well, 0 plus 3 is 3. Is 3 less than 5? Is that true or false? Hopefully you said true, so we're going to write the word true next to it. And we're going to do it again for the next number. The next number is the number 2. So let's put the number 2 in this time. 2 plus 3 is less than 5. Is 5 less than 5? Now 5 is equal to 5, but 5 is not less than 5, so this would be false. In order for this one to be true, you need that little equal sign underneath there, and it's not there, so this one would be false. Let's put the number 5 in this time. 5 plus 3 is less than 5, and 5 plus 3 is 8, and we know 8's not less than 5, so that's false. Let's do it again. Let's put a negative number in there this time. I'm going to work over here to get some more room. Negative 1 plus 3 is less than 5. Well, negative 1 plus 3 is 2. Is 2 less than 5? Yep, that's true. And one last one. Let's put a negative 3 in there. Negative 3 plus 3 is less than 5. Well, a negative 3 and plus 3, they're opposites, so that's going to take us to 0. And is 0 less than 5? That's true as well. So you might have to be able to do something like this as well. To be able to take a number evaluate it by replacing it in the inequality and finding out if it's true or false. One thing we can tell, though, just by looking at this, there's a lot of things that can make it true, isn't there? There's also a lot of things that can make it false. Here we had the numbers 0, -1, and -3 made it true. So there's a lot of numbers that will help make it true. So this is a little different than equations, and we could have a lot more answers. So we always want to be aware of that and how that's going to come about. We'll show how we graph that in a second. So let's go on to example 2. And example 2 says, describe the solution of the inequality in words. Well, this is important. It says describe the solution. So we need to get to the solution. Is this solved yet? No, it's not. So let's think about solving this. And we already know from our chapter 2 on equations how to get the variable alone. So we would subtract 3 from both sides, and we would end up with x is less than 5 minus 3 is 2. So when we describe the solutions, we would say the same thing. We would say a number. Remember, this variable means a number. So a number, and then this is the less than sign. So a number less than 2. And we just described the solution of the inequality in words. I want to take a look at a couple more problems, mostly with graphing. So here on example number 3, we have x is greater than 2, and I've already drawn my number line, so if you can do that too, that would be great. And so remember, we're always going to put a 0 on it, and since I need a 2 because a 2 is there, let's drop a 2 there. Now this is the greater than sign, and with the greater than sign, I'm going to use an open circle. It is important that you put it on the number line, just like that. Okay, not above it, not below it, but on the number line. Okay, and it says it's greater than. So where do we find all the numbers greater than 2? Well, that's like 3, 4, 5, and we find them over to the right. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a line from that open circle, and we're going to put an arrow, because it goes on forever. There's a lot of numbers that are greater than 2. Even 2.5 is greater than 2. So we want to include even all the fractions and the decimals and everything. So we're going to put a solid line right through there, just like that. Okay? And that's how we graph. And I think I have one more different kind of problem. Now, this one says our instructions: define a variable, write and graph an inequality. So, let me give you the problem which to write. Those are our directions. So let's write the problem down. The problem says Joe can eat no more than 8 McChickens. Joe can eat no more than 8 McChickens. So let's define a variable. Well, our variable is going to be Joe, so I think I'm going to use J for Joe. Okay? Now, we got to write the inequality first, so let's write it. So we know we need the number 8 because the 8 McChickens. So no more than, and we wrote that down earlier, no more than. What sign is that going to be? That means he can eat at least 8, but no more than 8. So he can eat less than that. Okay? So here now we have our inequality. Now we have to graph it, so we're going to draw a number line. We're going to put a 0 on it and an 8 on it. Because this has an equal sign, it's going to be a closed circle on the number line. And less than numbers less than 8 are going this direction. Now, can he eat negative McChickens? He can't, really. So we're going to stop it there and then connect it. So he can eat anywhere between 0 and 8 McChickens. If this wasn't a real world problem, if it was just this, if you're just graphing this in general, you would extend it to go past the 0. But because it's a real world problem, you can't have negative McChickens. We need to stop it right there at 0. Okay, this is the end of the notes. Your assignments are up on the board.